Hey, what's up, everybody? DFS Rico coming at you with my picks and insight for this MLB 7-game slate on Draftkings for Saturday, August 15th. We got a 7-gamer, pretty good slate. We got some good pitching, we got some good bats. So it'll be a nice slate to differentiate yourself. Obviously, we have Coors Field, so that will get a lot of exposure there. We really only have like one or two aces, so they'll have a lot of ownership as well. Those two guys. But I'll talk about them once I get started. But before I get started, if you could like, comment, subscribe, I really do appreciate it. If you want to sign over for my Patreon, $10 a month, it's in the description. I do GPP videos for um, MLB, NBA, and then I do League of Legends videos when LPL and LCK come back. I mean, they're playing right now, but the playoffs are LPL, and then LCK is just 2 games. But then I also have the Discord where you can reach out to me and just ask me any questions you like. Sometimes I usually don't put content out like on Sundays just due to the fact that I have a family and things to do with them. But for the most part, Monday through Saturday, I will be putting out videos. But yeah, uh, let's get to it. But another thing I want to go through, I actually had a really good day. I think it was on Thursday. I just want to run through that lineup really fast. I had a really good day. I ended up getting second and third place. I got second and then I tied for third place in the MLB 20K four-seamer, 20 entry max. It was a pretty good lineup. I ended up getting 246.60. I lost by 8 points. Muncie couldn't get me anything. Uh, but, I mean, that's the day where bets went off for 3 home runs. Got me 53. I went with a 5-man stack, Tampa Bay, and then two Dodgers and a Philly player. It was pretty good. It was a good day for sure. Like I said, I got first. I mean, second got me a grand, and then tying for third got me 433. Overall, I won $1,500, which is really sweet. I put in the time, I put in a lot of work into this stuff, even when I provide videos for you guys. I'm not gonna sit here and say like I win like that every time, but it's really nice when the hard work pays off. And I got guys over in the Discord that are winning a decent amount as well too. So I like to see that. I like to just help people out. But yeah, let's get to it. First, I'm gonna run through the 2 pitchers that I like. I'll skim through some pitchers, but I'm just gonna mainly talk about the 2 pitchers that I like, and then I'll talk about 2 stacks that I'm really looking at. For pitchers, up top you got Patrick Corbin at 10.5. He's probably the best ace in the best position as well. He's going against Baltimore. 20 strikeouts on the season. He's been pretty good. 22.6 points per game on average so far. Looking at over at plate IQ, 28.5% strikeout rate. He's a good fly ball guy, a good ground ball guy. Good versus lefties, good versus righties. He's actually a little better versus lefties. So he's more of a reverse, not a reverse, but he's better versus lefties. A lot better with strikeout rate is about 11% higher. His ground balls, his fly balls are about the same. He just allows a little more hard hit rate and less soft contact against righties, but the difference isn't that big. And I really want to pay up for him today just because there isn't that many aces on the slate. He is going against Baltimore. He has a better matchup than if you go over to Bueller, because Bueller is $200 cheaper. Bueller has the upside, but his pitch count hasn't been that safe. He did go out for 87 pitches last time, so that's a good thing to see. But it's kind of between Corbin and Bueller, but I prefer Bueller because he has a better matchup on paper, in my opinion. His numbers look a little better this season as well. So I will be taking Patrick Corbin, but Bueller can be a good pivot off in GPPs. Then you got Marquez at 8.3, Paxton at 8.1. Not guys I'm really looking at right now. Marquez is not a bad play though. For smaller field contests, which is this video is going to provide, it's going to be more for smaller contests or cash, smaller GPPs or cash for sure. That's kind of more what these picks will lean towards. Like I said, GPPs will be over on the Patreon. But just scrolling down, you got some decent pitchers in the middle of the pack. The guy I'm really looking at is Christian Javier. He's a 7.4, a righty, 4.02 ERA. He's got some decent strikeout stuff. He's had 2 good starts and 2 bad starts. Well, his first start was just he pitched 1 inning. Didn't pitch that good. Well, he just came in, I think I'm assuming relief. But his last start was where he struggled. He had 3 innings pitched. He only allowed 3 hits. And sadly, they were all home runs. That's kind of what gave him trouble. So they pulled him early, 3 innings. But in between, he had a good start versus Arizona. He had a good start versus the Dodgers. So I'm going to be plugging him in at 7.4. Those are the two pitchers I'm really looking at for smaller field contests. I know they will have a good amount of ownership. They'll probably be the highest owned pitchers in like cash and smaller contests. Uh, the other pitchers, if you want to know anything what I think about some of these other pitchers, go over to the Patreon and you'll see. But now let's bounce over to the starting lineups. Just scrolling down, you're gonna see for the stacks. Cause I usually stack. I usually like to 5-man stack, and then I kind of just fill in my other 3 spots. But for bats, you're gonna want to look at the total, the run implied total. I mean, you got the Yankees up there at 5.11, 5.10 for the Nats, 5.94 for the Astros. They're very high up there against Nick Margivisius, whatever the hell his name is. And then you got the Padres at 5.16, Arizona at 4.84, the Rockies being the highest at 6.46. Coors Field, you know how Coors Field can get. So a lot of ownership will be going, just looking off the bat, you will see a lot of ownership go to Colorado, a lot of ownership go to Houston, and a lot of ownership probably go to the Padres as well. So off the bat, I'm looking at it, and I do like. So Colorado's expensive. If you look at the bats, I mean, you got the cheapest guy on the team. The expensive guy on the team is 6.2, followed by Blackman at 6.1, Arenado at 5.8. Now, obviously, those are the guys you're going to want. They're the best players on the team. They got the best numbers versus righties. You got Trevor Story, good ISO, good WOBA. Blackman right in the middle. Blackman's been playing out of his mind this season. We know how good he's been. I mean, he's batting close to 500, I think it was last time I checked. This team doesn't strike out much, but they get the bump. Obviously, they're in Coors Field. Kyle Gibson's not the worst pitcher. He struggles a little more versus righties as far as power and contact. His strikeout rate's a little better versus righties, a little less versus lefties. But I mean, if you really want to play the split game on this, you're going to want to play guys like Blackman, Murphy, Tapia, McMahon, Dahl. And looking over on Draftkings, some of these guys are pretty pricey. Like all of these guys are pretty pricey. I mean, Tapia is probably the cheapest one at 4.4, and he will probably be batting what in the lineup they got him projected to bat. Lineups aren't out yet. Bat 6. So if you want a piece of this game, I mean, you got Murphy, Tapia, McMahon, David Dahl 4.9, Tony Walters, even the catchers at 3.3. A lot of this team will have a lot of ownership. So as of me right now, I'm using them as filler. With the pitchers I have going on, I think I prefer a different stack, and that's the stack I'm going to talk about right now. But like, if you have leftover cash, I don't mind filling it in with some of these Colorado guys. I do prefer the Colorado guys over the Texas guys, just because Marquez is a better pitcher than Gibson, and we've seen he can go out there and perform very well in Coors Field for some reason. He's better at home sometimes. But the one I want to talk about is the Padres, playing in Arizona. They're not priced too heavy. I mean, you got Tatis Jr. at 5.6. He's probably the heaviest, the highest price. He's 8 home runs on the season. He's looked very good this season. Looking over at his numbers, he's going against Alex Young. He probably won't be out there that much. He struggles more versus lefties. I get it. He's decent versus righties. He doesn't really have much strikeout stuff. He allows a lot of hard contact, which Tatis is very good at doing. You got some pretty good righties at the top of this lineup. Tatis, Machado, Pham, then some cheaper guys like Myers, Profar, Olivares. Obviously, you're going to want to pay up for Tatis, Machado, and Pham, in my opinion. So that's the first place I would look to start my stack. 5.6 Tatis at shortstop is very good. Machado hasn't been the best this season, but he still has shown some pop. So at 4.6, I don't mind taking him at third base. And then 4K for Pham, I think, is a little too cheap for the upside that he can provide. He hasn't looked that good this season either, but he's had some games this season, same like Tatis and Machado. So this is a good way to start your stack. I mean, you got a nice little 3-man stack right there. There are some cheap guys in the lineup as well. Looking over at plate IQ and the starting lineups, I mean, you got Hosmer, Myers, Profar. So looking at Hosmer in the middle of the lineup, he's at 3.3. If you plug him in at 3.3, bumps your salary back up to 3.6, which isn't that bad. And he is batting closer to the top of the lineup, so that's something you do like to see. He is a lefty, I get it, But I mean, you're gonna need some value in this lineup for sure. Olivares has been looking pretty good. Um, 2.9K, you can't go wrong with that. Um, 2.9. So for me, someone who's usually stacking like a 5-man stack, this is somewhere a core that I would look at. Hosmer, Machado, Tatis, Pham, and Olivares as a 5-man stack. If you want to go cheaper, if you don't want to play Machado, Tatis, and Pham, like let's say you don't want to play Machado, you can plug him out for someone like Profar or Myers to save a little more money. So, or even Grisham at 3.6. Do they even have him in the lineup though? They probably don't because I think he struggles pretty good versus lefties. Yeah, so they don't. He's not projected to start, but if you plug in a guy like Myers or Profar, let's just look what that gives us. 3.7 bumps us up to 4.2 compared to the 3.6 we were at. So there's a lot of ways you can go. If you don't want to spend up, if you want to end up paying up somebody somewhere else, you can go somewhere else. If you don't want to do a 5-man stack of San Diego, you could do a 3-man stack, a 4-man stack. That's perfectly fine. But San Diego is a team I'm looking at. They're a team with big upside. Colorado, like I said, will get some ownership. Washington, the Yankees, but San Diego will go a little under the radar. I'm not going to say they're not going to get ownership, but they will have some ownership. And if you want to play that game, it's a little San Diego or Arizona is kind of where I'm looking at. But I think I prefer a little more San Diego just because uh, Tatis is very good at leading off at 5.6. Is very good. But I think that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a great weekend. Thank you.